You are watching DHTV from California State University, Dominguez Hills.
What did they get called for? Because there are two black guys sitting here meeting me? Yes. Well, what did they do? What did they do? Did someone tell me what they did?
They didn't do anything. I saw the entire thing.
They didn't. What did they do?
Nothing. And the woman says for paying customers and after us leave. They didn't do anything.
DH News reporting to you live from California State University, Dominguez Hills. For today's segment, we will be focusing on the famous coffee shop known as Starbucks. Starbucks was first founded in 1971, with their first store being in Seattle, Washington. Their mission is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Starbucks aims at creating a culture of warmth and belonging where everyone is welcome. However, there have been many recent issues in regards to racism in some Starbucks coffee shops that may challenge Starbucks' values. Here with us today is an employee of Starbucks named Mark Pilato with some words about the racial bias training.
Good afternoon, Dominguez Hills. I'm currently an employee for Starbucks, a barista to be exact, and personally, I love the company I work for. Now, in the short time I've been with the company, I've had some great and not so great experiences. Now, as Angel had mentioned, I've been brought here to talk about our racial bias training. And in our general training, we have been taught to not only perfect our food handling, customer experience, and drink building, but to also bridge it all together and perfect our Starbucks experience. First and foremost, there's no excuse for us not to go through with the training. In covering the most common complaints we've heard around the Vine, it's being a waste of time, it cuts into our hours, and it affects the business flow. Well, now that the schedules have come out, people are still scheduled before and after the training. So it's not going to cut into any of our hours, or it's not going to cut into anyone's pay. And so, like I said, it's necessary information that will help us in the long run, and it's not one of those factors that's really covered in our primary training as well. To my previous point, the Starbucks experience. We're taught to perfect something that isn't conceptually set in stone. That being said, for some, it may not take precedence. The racial bias training will serve as not only new information, but it may even be a refresher crash course on how important the Starbucks experience is for our customers. In other words, keeping the relationships between barista and customer much more personable and genuine, which is what makes our company so unique. My third and final point regarding what makes the racial bias training necessary is how we aren't trained to handle particular situations. So essentially, this not only serves that specific purpose, but it also gives insight into our way of thinking and approaching situations. Before I go, I like to leave with one final point. As a general rule of thumb, just because someone believes they may not have any sort of racial bias doesn't mean it isn't there.
Here with us today is Syra from the U.S. Department of Labor. Syra, tell us what you think.
The racial bias training seems to be just a public relations move. It could be argued that having 8,000 stores closed and 175,000 employees trained is an extreme approach to dealing with one incident within one store. The typical PR approach is to 1. Express sympathy for those affected, 2. Address what will be done to ensure the incident does not repeat, and 3. To implement the plan. A less dramatic approach to the incident would have been to simply fire the manager and to release a public statement to the Starbucks employees stating that any discriminatory action towards clients is unacceptable. There have been many other trainings in the past. More training is not the answer for this incident. In 2017, Starbucks was in the spotlight for a meeting they held called Fight for the Heart and Soul of Starbucks. The purpose of this meeting was to talk to their employees about how to enhance the customer experience. But a lot of the employees left that meeting feeling as if they were being blamed for a lot of the dissatisfaction that customers experience, according to an interview done by Business Insider. Now, what the employees actually want is more support from Starbucks. They want better wages and to have a lot of the staffing issues addressed. If they are supported in this way, they will be set up to succeed. This training damages employees systematically. Since the incident in Philadelphia, there has been an increase in harassment from clients towards Starbucks employees.
So this is Weston, and Weston hadn't made a purchase yet, you guys. So I would like Starbucks right here on Redondo, on Artesia and Hawthorne. This man right here said he hasn't made a purchase yet. He's in line to make a purchase, and you guys had gave him the code. Right? Isn't that what you did? No, this is not your business. This is not your business. This is not your business, though. Okay, you may be the store manager, but you're not in charge. I'm not allowed to be in here anymore.
The manager in that video was fired, even though she was following the policy and procedure that Starbucks had outlined for her. That sends a very strong message that no matter how well an employee follows the training, they will still get fired to maintain the company's image. Starbucks employees have commented that the root of the problem is the lack of connection between employees and customers. The connection can only be improved through improving the wage and staffing issues. Starbucks is thinking of their image first and not the wellness of their employees. If Starbucks truly wants to improve the environment for their customers, they have to make sure that their employees are taken care of first.
Starbucks CEO Kevin Johnson applies some of the Sharp leadership principles addressed by Carl Sharperson in his Sharp Leadership book. Kevin Johnson is being honest about the racial issue that Starbucks needs to overcome. However, many people question his honesty and believe that this may just be a PR move. Johnson held the Philadelphia Starbucks manager accountable by firing her from the store. Also, Johnson is providing a mandatory racial bias training for all employees to hold them all accountable for future potential actions. Johnson is attempting to take care of his clients by providing his employees with the racial bias training. However, in doing so, Johnson is also neglecting to take care of his own people. Johnson did open himself up to feedback by including many experts for his racial bias training, such as U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, Brian Stevenson from Equal Justice Initiative, Sherilyn Phil from NAACP, Heather McGee from the Demos, and Jonathan Greenblatt of the Anti-Defamation League. While it was fair for the manager in Philadelphia to be fired, it was not fair for the manager of Redondo Beach to be fired because she was only following Starbucks policy and procedure. Although Kevin Johnson does demonstrate some leadership principles, there are some leadership principles that do need improvement. Was the racial bias training the best approach? You decide.